We're going to start with a comfortable seated position. Again, your belly button is slightly higher than your knees. You have a slight lordotic curve, slight curvature in your lower back, or at the minimum, your spine is straight, your pelvis is even and grounded, both sits bones are evenly weighted, and you don't feel like you're crawling backward. Okay? If that is the case, sit higher. I'm sitting on a folded blanket. Please feel free to sit on 2 blocks, anything that gives you ample height and you're not straining the back muscles to try to stay upright. It's really, really in the neutrality of the pelvis. We're going to start this core series with Kapalabhati breath, which means the breath of fire. For those of you who know what it is, you can go at your own pace. You can go a little faster than me, whatever feels right to you. If you need a reminder, you're using the lower abdomen or just the entire abdominal muscles, but definitely the deep lower abdomen to push inward to expel out air. So it sounds a little bit, it's loud. It goes, it comes through your nose, and you make the sound pretty loud. Close the mouth. The key to Kapalabhati breath is your lower back is still. You don't want to shake and move your torso as you're doing it. You're keeping the lower back still. If it helps, keep a hand there. And then use the other hand to hold the lower belly in. Don't worry about the inhales, okay? So I'm going to do 5, and then we'll do a few, 2 sets of it, and we'll incorporate it into a couple of the other things we do just to learn to engage and activate the lower belly. So let the inhales come on their own. Focus on the exhales. You push the belly in to expel the breath out, and then relax the abs. Push in, expel, relax the abs, push in, expel, relax the abs, okay? So it goes. You can go a little slower, where it would be. Or you can double time it, and it'll sound something like. The key is, doesn't matter what you do, try not to tense up the neck, try not to use the throat, try not to engage everything, and just think about using the abs. Now, for some of you, if it's a little easier to do so, you can do so lying on your back. Have your feet, knees bent, and have your feet in bridge position. And that makes the pushing down a lot easier than sitting up and trying to remain and maintain posture, okay? So let's do a set of 20. And then we'll just take this Kapalabhati breath, think about the warming of the abs, take this Kapalabhati breath and then apply it to some of the things we'll do, okay? You can choose to do this with the eyes closed. You can put one hand on your belly, one hand on your lower back like I was doing. So just making sure the lower back is quiet, no movement. On the last exhale, we're going to draw the breath and empty out all the air out of the lungs, hold the abs in as much as we can, pause for a couple of seconds, and then let go. Okay, let's try 20 first. Take an inhale, exhale halfway, and go for it. Hold. Relax. Take a full breath. So hopefully you got the gist of this. Okay, let's do one last round. Normally we do sets of 60, 70, and it's the rapid movement that makes the abdominals sore. We're going to do plenty of things that makes the abs sore. But learning Kapalabhati breath at first, or just doing it for a round or two, really starts to wake up the lower abs. 20 more, you feel free to go slower, count on your own, feel free to go a little faster. I'm going to go at the same pace, okay? Hold. And let it go. Take your hands to your thighs. If you're still in cross-legged position, feel free to switch the crossing of the legs. If you've been here for a bit, okay, you're going to take a big inhale, press into the lower thighs, lift the chest, As you exhale, it's almost like you're doing a cat-cow and you're doing the cat version. Hollow out the belly. Pull the belly into the spine. And inhale, sit upright. Breathe into the chest, breathe into the collarbones. Exhale, pull the belly in. You're going to take an inhale, reach the arms up, draw the shoulders down, hold the belly in, don't round the back. Take another inhale, lift up, turn your ribs to your left, turn from the ribs, okay, not just the neck. And then slowly exhale, take your right hand, bring it on the outside of the left knee, reach the left hand behind, prop into the floor, your blanket, blocks, anything you want, just a gentle twist. Don't yank, don't pull. Take a full inhale again, lift the chest. Use the gentle press of the hand against the leg as leverage. Turn the left ribs back a little bit, right ribs in the same direction. Take another inhale, lift the chest, turn the ribs a little bit. And then from the base of the neck, turn the neck to turn the head slowly, slowly to the left. So the base of the neck starts from in between the shoulder blades as another reminder. You're trying to move as slow as possible. You're trying to take the twist more in between the shoulder blades down your mid back. So it's not just at the base of the skull. Good. On your exhale, you're going to gently release the head, unravel the torso. Okay. Take another inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, draw the shoulders down. Hold your lower ribs in, hold your abdominals in. Inhale, lift the chest again. On your exhale, take your ribs now, twist them over to the right. Gently release the hands. Take the right hand behind you to help prop. Left hand on the outside of the knee, on the thigh, whatever you can grab. Take a full inhale, lift the chest again. Exhale, turn from the ribs. My right ribs are moving back an inch. My left ribs follow. Don't turn from the head. One more big inhale. If you can get a little more movement in the ribs, do it. Right ribs back a little, left ribs forward. And then from here, from the base of the neck, slowly, slowly turn the base of the neck to turn the head farther over to the right. Breathe. Notice what kind of sensation is happening in between the shoulder blades, if you're feeling any tightness on the sides of the neck and the trapezius. These are always good things to do throughout the day. And then on your next inhale, you're going to gently bring yourself back to center, okay? Come out of your seated position. I'm going to advise that if your knees get a little sensitive, we're going to use a blanket to pad underneath the knees, especially since we're doing quite a bit of, we're going to spend a little bit of time on our knees to begin with. I would put a blanket in the middle of the mat and open it up so there's good enough padding but not super thick that it's altering your relationship to your mat. And I would take 2 blocks if you're going to use them. We're going to come into down dog first just to stretch the legs out. You're going to roll up, give yourself a little bit of a pedal. Once you've been sitting for a while, it just feels a little like gunky to constantly be in one position. You want to stretch out. So just take a moment, come into your first down dog. If you're not using the blocks, totally fine. Take your down dog just a little bit longer. And again, pedal out the legs. Don't jam the knees. I'm going to bend my left knee, look under the right shoulder. I'm not dipping, okay? I'm just turning the gaze a little bit and pushing that right hip back some more to really get into the back of that right hip down the leg and soften at the knee. And then I'm going to switch over, bend the right knee, gently look over under the left shoulder. Keep the ears in line with the biceps. Push that left hip back a little bit, okay? And let this pedaling start to slowly, slowly warm up the legs. Good. And then maybe take one breath with the hips pushed up and back, whichever variation of down dog you're in. And then on your next inhale, you're going to come down onto the knees, okay? So with Kapalabhati breath, with the idea of the navel pulled into the spine being nice and quiet, we're going to do some core engagement work. You're going to do the best that you can. At any point you need to take the variation, go ahead and take the variation, okay? So first, you're going to have your knees stacked underneath the shoulders, hands underneath the wrists. You're going to hold your lower abs and you're not going to overly round. I have this rounding in my upper back, and especially when I tuck, the rounding becomes more pronounced. I'm not purposely trying to round my back. And some of you, your back looks a lot flatter. That's just more of a genetic thing. So don't let this mislead you and think that you need to round your back. You don't, okay? You're trying to keep the spine as straight as possible. More importantly, you put your hand on your lower back. If your lower back is arched, we don't want that. Flatten the lower back. Hold the lower abs in. You're going to tuck the toes. Use the lower abs. Think about Kapalabhati. Push the breath out and then maybe lift your knees off the floor just an inch or two. Relax the shoulders. And from here, if you just hold it, if this is a lot, just hold it. If you want to do maybe 5 exhales on Kapalabhati breath, go for it. Lower your knees down to the ground. So think about the exhale of pushing the belly button in is what's also helping you to take your knees up off the floor, okay? So let's go ahead and do it again. And you can do it on your own. You can do it without me. We're just going to come up for a second, hold, keep the abs woken up. Put the knuckle of the first finger, the knuckle of the thumb down very actively. Tuck the toes under, exhale. Slowly come up, let the knees hover off of the blanket or your mat. You can stay here or 5 deep exhales. And bring them down. You should be feeling a little bit warmer at this point. Keep the back of the neck long, okay? From here, I'm gonna ask you to reach your legs back, lie down on your belly briefly. So if the blanket's a little uncomfortable, you can take it out the way. If it feels just a little weird, that's totally fine. I just want you to stretch out your quadriceps for the next set. You're gonna bring your right forearm under, grab the left foot, roll the thigh bone in, tuck, tuck, tuck the pelvis, move the butt out of the lower back. Take a few deep breaths just to wake up the quadriceps because that's another very important thing to engage, or it gets engaged along with the abdominals. Definitely inner thighs as well. We'll get into all of that, okay? Keep the tuck nice and strong. Take a few deep breaths. Feel like the quadricep is moving away from you, extending, extending. You can come up a little higher with your forearms if that feels a little bit better, but don't let it dig into your lower back, okay? Then you're gonna slowly release that leg, switch over. Again, keep the tuck. Move the thigh bone away from you. Do a little bit of inward rotation on that right thigh if possible. Don't pull the foot too hard. Good. Now you're going to release that leg and you're going to come into, so the normal sphinx that we do would be the forearms parallel to each other. For the purpose of what we're trying to do today, I'd like you to do the version where you are having your forearms stacked. I'm going to have, doesn't matter which forearm you stacked on top. For me, it's just the right forearm right now. So it's almost like I can reach over and grab my elbows. Now, I'm going to roll the thigh bones in, and this is going to turn into an abdominal, it's going to go from an abdominal stretch into a plank. So I tuck first, press my forearms down, pull my chest forward, forward, forward. Take a few deep breaths to first stretch out the abs. Keep the tuck really nice and strong. Relax the neck and shoulders. Keep pulling your chest forward in between those forearms. So maybe your mid back feels engaged as well. Okay, now when you come out, here's your first choice. You can stack the arms like this. You can stay on your knees, tuck the butt, slowly take your hips off the floor, stretch the chest forward, keep holding the abs in, and here you're already pretty much in a plank. If you want to do the full variation, keep the toes tucked, lift off of your knees, keep tucking. I know it feels a little bit awkward to have the forearms like this, but there's a reason we're doing it. I'll show you in a second. You're going to lift the inner thighs, keep the back of the neck long. Try to stretch the chest forward as much as you can. Keep lifting the inner thighs and hold the belly in, and keep the hips low. So for me, I'm really quivering and shaking all up and down, and I know my abdominals are working, okay? From here, you gently come down onto your knees, and then I'm gonna turn open. So this forearm that's on top, I'm gonna turn facing you since my hand is facing this way. You can start this one with the knees bent, using the push of the forearm. Think about this shoulder blade not collapsing in the floor, the ribs not falling into the floor. Press into this form. You can turn the palm up, turn the palm down, turn it sideways, anything that feels good, okay? Now, scoop up the lower side of your obliques, press into the outer edge of the shin bones, lift your hips up off the floor, and already you're engaging this whole side abdominal and oblique and your shoulder. If this is okay for you, you might try to take your legs out a little bit so you're a little bit longer. Push into the outer shin, lift up a little more. Those of you who can, you can extend the legs fully. Put one foot in front of the other, whichever feels easier for you. You can either stack the feet or put one foot in front of the other, but we're coming into a side plank. We're not going to do it for long, okay? And if you've got your feet stacked and you feel good, just don't sink into the shoulder. Try to keep the shoulder right on top of the elbow. If it feels good, take the hips, lower them a little bit, lift back up. Lower them just a little bit, lift back up. Really engage the abdominals, hold the belly and squeeze the inner thighs to center and take one more, okay? I think we did about 4 or 5. Gently release, come out of that shoulder, slowly come back down. You're gonna switch the arms now, okay? My left forearm's gonna go forward. I'm gonna roll my thigh bones in, take my second Sphinx pose. Stretch the chest forward, draw the shoulder blades down. Keep lengthening the chest forward. Relax the shoulders. Keep the tuck. Now, I'm going to open up this way, but to be able to show you from the front, I'm just going to switch my orientation. But I'm on my left side, okay? Again, if you're starting off with this one, start with the knees bent. Your legs are almost at a 90-degree angle. You don't want the knees too far forward because that's going to just be a little bit more difficult to hold. You want to pull the legs back a little bit. So later, if you want to extend, you just kick the legs out and your body's in a straight line, okay? Don't dig into the shoulder. Think about pushing down on the wrist to take some pressure off the elbow. Hold the lower belly and lift up through the obliques. Press into the outer shin. Lift the hips up off the floor. Breathe. So your body really wants to sink. This collarbone, this bottom collarbone really wants to dig. Can you press into the forearm? Just lift that collarbone. If this is already enough for you, stay put, okay? For those of you who want to stack or put one foot in front of the other, I forgot to mention you also have this choice. It's like another in between. For me, it's like if you're gonna straighten out your legs, it's already hard enough. This doesn't make a huge difference. So we're gonna stay put just a little longer. If you're doing the dips, lift the hips, release them to the floor just a little bit, lift the hips, release them to the floor a little bit, do 2 or 3 more. Okay, and if you're staying still, breathe, 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 feel the firm. You can even put a hand here to see how much the side body is engaged. And then slowly, slowly release it down. Wherever you are, you're gonna take one more Sphinx pose, okay? Roll the thigh bones in, keep tucking, pushed into the forearms, stretch the chest forward. Good. We're going to intersperse this with one more down dog, and then we're going to stay on the floor for one more set before coming up, okay? From here, feel free, I'm going to just turn back this way, since that's where my blocks are. Feel free to first take a puppy dog or a child's pose. If you're in a child's pose, I suggest a wide kneed version. So you push your sits bones back, your knees about the width of the mat. You can give your groins a nice big stretch. And the more you push your sits bones back, the more it becomes a spine lengthener to help starting to open you up in the right direction. Good. Take one more full breath here. And even here, when you're in this child's pose, see what happens when you pull your lower belly in. See if the groins get a little bit more tension when that happens. And slowly, either with or without your blocks, you're going to come up into your second downward dog. Okay, I'm going to show this one with the blocks. And this time, again, always do what feels good to you. If it feels good to shake the hips a little bit from side to side, you do so. Okay, if it feels good to continue to pedal the legs, you can do that too. And for those of you, if you like the movement of going into plank, hold the abs and lift those thighs, and pulling back into down dog a couple of times, you can absolutely do that. Try to make the practice your own. Yes, you can follow me along, but anytime your body calls to you to do something in the moment, even if it's unplanned, that's the beauty of this practice, okay? On your next inhale, you're gonna come down and put your knees down onto the blanket one more time, okay? I got one last thing that I want you to do that starts to engage the inner thighs and then the hamstrings and the glutes. So classic, I don't know if it's called all fours or reaching forward, reaching back. It doesn't really matter. But so it's the action of taking the legs, reaching the arms forward, trying to balance using your abdominals. I don't want you to worry as much about the arms today. Rather, I want you to think about using the inner hamstring, middle hamstring, lower part of your glutes for the first part, and then you're going to use your inner thigh muscle, your obliques, for the second part, okay? So for the first part, I want you to just have your knees slightly farther apart, not quite hip width. Your wrists are stacked underneath the shoulders, pressing firmly with your knuckle of the thumb, knuckle of the first finger down. Now, if your hands are really uncomfortable here, if your wrists are tender, feel free to come down onto your forearms. I know it feels a little bit awkward, but the work is almost exactly the same. You just have to adjust to what feels good for you, okay? So if you're up this way, I want you to find center line. When I gently extend my left leg back, keep it on the floor first. You should not feel like you're falling to the right in any way. You should feel like your weight is still balanced down the center line of the body. You're going to use that left inner thigh, inner hamstring. Hold the lower abs in. Don't arch the low back. Pick up that left leg using the strength of your glute, using the strength of your hamstrings, okay? And I don't need you to take the leg too high, because if you take it too high, what happens if you're not careful, you end up arching in the low back. I want the lower belly in, reach the leg, and all I want you to do is lower the leg a little bit until the toes kind of skim the floor, and then use the hamstrings to lift the leg up. Hold the abs in so tight. The abs don't drop. Force the hamstrings and the glutes to do the work of lifting the leg, okay? We're gonna just do a few more of these and just test it, see how you feel. Hold the abs in, make the abs so steady. And as soon as you really engage that core, you're gonna start to feel like your butt and your hamstrings are doing all the work. And reach that leg long, point the toes, point the toes. Let's do two more here. We're going to do plenty of this kind of work. So all it is we're activating and trying to feel it in the right place first. Okay, good. Now bring the leg back down. Think about the same thing we just did. And now you're going to take that same leg, you're going to extend it out to the side. Okay, I'm going to move over slightly so you can still see me. This is going to depend a little bit on flexibility. So if you can't get your inner thigh kind of parallel with the body, move it back a little bit. Totally okay. You're going to use that inner thigh to help lift the leg, use the side obliques. And this one, you have to be even more careful. Don't dip into the opposite side. So can I reach the leg toward you, or you reach your leg toward me? Float the leg up just a couple of inches off the floor, lower it down. Float the leg just a little bit off the floor, lower it down. Can everything else be so steady? Reach through that leg. So my side glute, my inner thigh, and my side abs are working like crazy. It's the extension of the legs that really matters. It's not about how much you lift. Let's do three more, okay? Stay put, hold the abs, reach the leg long, and bring it down. Reach the leg long, bring it down. And then reach, reach, reach the leg long. Really reach and bring it back. Now, you can actually do this exercise like on a piano bench, on a table, and your leg can go lower, lift up and down more. That actually becomes more of an outer gluteus medius exercise. Whereas if you extend and do these little lifts, it's a little more abdominals and inner thigh getting involved. Okay, now let's do the same exact thing, second side. I'm just turning this way so you can see me. I'm still on all fours. I'm going to take my right leg and reach back. Hold the lower ribs in. I'm going to take the leg, use the abs to hold, reach the leg long. This motion is slightly bigger than when I take my leg sideways. So I'm not dipping my lower back at all. You can even use your hand. Hold your hand into your abs to make sure that nothing is moving. Think about abdominals pulling into navel. Let's do 3 more, okay? And it's the hamstrings and the butt lifting the leg. Extend the leg so long, and then pick it up. Let's do one last one just because this one is really nice and deep. I can so feel it in my inner hamstrings, okay? And my abs. Now, home stretch for this set. Take that leg out to the side, okay? Immediately, don't fall into the other hip. Stay upright. The key to not falling into the other hip is how much you extend. Of course, take the leg a little bit behind you if the inner thigh or if your flexibility is not allowing for this. Hold the lower ribs again. Don't tip the back. Float the leg off the floor, reach along, okay? And then lower. Float the leg up, reach along, pause for a second, and then lower. This is so much more challenging than the first variation. Reach along, reach along, reach along, bring it down. Let's do 3 more. Use the abs to hold inner thighs, reach along, bring it down. And then last one, reach, 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 extend, bring it down, and then bring the leg back, okay? From wherever it is that you are, feel free to take a child's pose right now, or take a puppy dog. If child's pose is not your thing. And if you needed blocks for down dog, grab them. If not, you're gonna roll up into one more downward dog. At this point, down dog should feel like you're actually taking a bit of a rest because of how much work you've done, yeah? Let's do 10 Kapalabhati breath in this down dog. Get into a nice strong down dog with the thigh bones pushed back, okay? So just like how we started, take an inhale, legs are firm, pushing back, exhale halfway, now go. Push the hips back. Hold. Good job, everybody. Walk your feet forward towards your hands. You can do a little hop if you don't have a blanket there, or if you feel safe. My blocks are on the other side, but we're just going to do a bend and re-extend. Have your feet hip width or a little bit wider if you still need some time to get the hamstrings going. Bend the knees, hug your shin bones to center, get the inner part of the feet pressed into the floor. Hug your shins and widen at the knees. Move the hamstrings slowly up toward the sits bones. Keep resisting at the knees a little bit. Stretch your chest forward. Keep the back of the neck long. Lengthen the sternum without popping the head up, okay? And then on your next inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Draw the shoulder blades down. Lengthen through the triceps as much as you can. As you exhale, bring the hands in front of the heart. Take a breath. Shoulders down the back. And bring them down to your sides. So we're going to do stuff a little bit differently. I'm going to have you take the blanket away. And instead of regular sun salutations, we're going to still go into lunges and work the legs, but we're doing everything in the sense of trying to work the core a little bit more, okay? I'm going to take the blocks just so I can reach them. But for now, I want you to start standing facing me. Your feet are turned out, kind of like 11 and 1 on a clock or 10 and 2, but take the stance pretty wide. So I want to do a squat with a twist. So this is a lot about core strengthening, but also about mobility in the thoracic spine, okay, and the hips. So from here, I want you to turn the thigh bones out, move the inner thighs into the inner knees. You're not quite sitting into a really, really deep lunge, but sit pretty deeply and don't let the knees roll in. You're going to take your hands and press them onto the thighs, and your body is going to cant forward a little bit. Okay, so from the side, this is what I look like. And this is something that I attribute to my lovely ladies at Remedy Bar, who's taught me a lot about mobility and stability. We're going to add a little bit of a twist onto this. So I'm going to press my hands into the thighs. I'm going to take my left hand, push the left knee open, relax that left shoulder, turn my ribs to the right. And once I'm in this twist, you don't want to stick your butt up and drop your chest. I want you to lower the hips, keep the chest up. From the base of the neck, turn the neck to turn the head to try to look at the ceiling. It actually becomes a really nice twist for the side of the spine, for the area between the shoulder blades, okay? You're not gonna hold long. You're gonna come back to center, recommit to widening the legs, press the right hand into the right thigh, turn the chest to the left. Once the torso is turned, move from the base of the neck to turn the head to gaze at the ceiling. And I don't know why this feels so therapeutic for me, especially when the legs are very grounded. Let's do one more to each side. Come back to center, press the left hand into the left thigh, turn from the ribs, turn the chest, and then finally turn from the base of the neck. Keep thinking about lowering the butt and turning the chest up at the same time, okay? And then last side, come back to center, widen your stance, right hand presses open the right thigh, turn from the ribs, slowly from the base of the neck to turn the head to the ceiling. Anything that feels good to you, go ahead and do. You can shake the hips a little bit side to side. You can sit a little deeper. If you're tired, you can come up a little bit and then come back down. All right, come back to center now. Okay, from here, slowly bring yourselves back up. So I'm going to turn to my right, that's where my blocks are, and you go to the side that your blocks are, whichever is easier. Take your blocks with you if you want to, do the same side as me. So I'm going to pitch and start with my back heel lifted. My back heel is extended, okay? I'm going to bend the back knee just a little bit. Think about hugging everything into center. And then with my left hip moving forward, right sits bone moving back, squeezing the inner thighs, zipping up the pubis bone. Then I think about pressing my heel back to elongate the front of the quad. My inner thighs are still hugging in, okay? Do it one more time. I bend the knee, relax the knee a little bit so I'm not jamming the knee. Square off the hips, press the front, big toe ball inner heel firmly into the floor. Squeeze everything in, zip up the pubis bone, move from the glute to hold the glute in. Press the heel back. You should feel pretty steady at this point because the core is engaged. Inner thighs are hugging in. Now, you can keep your hands onto your thighs. Keep kicking the heel back. If you feel steady, reach your arms up. I'm going to lift the chest, and then I'm going to keep pulling this right butt back. Don't lose the inner thigh hugging. Don't lose the holding in of the core. I'm going to reach my arms forward. So I'm kind of in this forward leaning crescent lunge. If it feels like your stances are too short or you're a little bit wobbly, sometimes all you need to do is go a little lower, okay? Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. Don't dump only into the standing hip. Right sits bone hugs into the left inner thigh. My left heel continues to kick back. Now, use the abs, use the legs to hold you. If that feels okay, take your blocks, slide them by your sides, by your ankles, put your fingertips on the blocks or your hands, straighten that front leg. And what I want you to do is you're gonna take this heel, press the heel back like we've been doing in some of the other videos. Keep dragging the right hip back. If it feels really strong in the hamstrings and calves, just stay put. If you want to do a little more, curl the toes back towards your head. So it looks like this, okay? And then spread your toes, place that right foot back down, reach the big toe ball forward, pitch forward a little bit. So you're almost coming off of your left big toe, and then pull your hips back again, pull the right butt back, press the left heel back, curl the toes towards your head. Can you imagine that your body is moving in a straight line back and forth, not wobbling side to side, okay? So I'm literally, if I take my block out of the way, so I'm literally going forward, going back, going forward, going back on this midline, hugging the inner thighs together. So even as I'm stretching out my front hamstrings, warming the legs up, I'm still using the abdominals and hugging into center, okay? Now, after this, if all feels good, just try, okay? You're gonna bend that front knee again, move that right quadricep forward into the front knee. You're sitting back into the lunge. And all I want is you can either come into warrior three and just hang out in warrior three, reaching this leg back, pulling the right butt back, squeezing the inner thighs together, hold the abs in. If this is enough of a challenge, stay put. Think about this back leg. What do we do on all fours? We lifted the inner thigh and the glutes. We held the abs in. Part one, if this feels okay to you and you want to work on your balance using the core, inner thighs hugging in, shooting the left leg back, right arm forward. Hold here, okay? 3 to 4 deep breaths. If you want to play with the standing leg a little more, you're going to bend the knee a bit, pull the butt back. Don't let this top leg go slack. Press into the inner heel, lift, 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 lift the hip, pull the right butt back some more. Bend the knee a little more, hold the abs and reach this leg long. Straighten this leg without locking the knee. Pull the butt back a little more. You can do this while your arms reaching forward. Okay? I know this is intense, but it's working on the stability of the standing leg. Don't dump into the hip crease. Take one more breath here. As you exhale, gently place that right leg back. Now, you're going to take about 4 to 5 more breaths, staying in pyramid pose to stretch out this front leg. If you're feeling pretty good, you can do this with the hips square back, heel lifted. You can also turn the heel down, but don't let that, because this leg is slightly outwardly rotated, don't let that interfere with the inner thighs, okay? If you feel good here, can you squeeze your thighs together? Can you take your hands, bring them behind you, hug the inner legs, use the core to stabilize, square off the hips a little more. Take one more deep breath, okay? If this is too much of a challenge, hands back down onto the blocks, all right? And then before we do the other side, bend that front knee, open back up. We're gonna take a slow flow, which means you come into plank, stay in plank. This is optional. If plank is already a good amount of challenge, you just stay exactly as you are. If you feel good, you're gonna do the same work. Hold the lower ribs in, hold the abs in, lift that left leg, reach it back, reach it back, reach it back. If you wanna do a little bit of lifts up and down, you can. You don't have to, okay? Hold for one more inhale, reach the leg back, bring it back. Now, same thing. Reach the right leg long, long, long. Hold the abs in. This is like the one straight line from your inner thighs to that big toe to the abs. You can do a bit of lifting to work your glute or not. On your exhale, come down slowly, chaturanga. Bring your knees down first if you like. You can go back to a sphinx. You can take a cobra. Take an extra breath or a breather. And your choice. You can come back, go ahead and take a puppy dog to take a rest, a child's pose, or roll on through and come back up into downward dog. And breathe. Shake your hips a little bit, side to side. Pushing the hips back. And you guessed it, you can either stay here or 10 Kapalabhati breath. So think about this. Every time you exhale to pull the navel in, can you also push the thigh bones back and up a little bit more? Okay, do this with hands on the blocks if that feels better. Let's go. Take an inhale. Exhale halfway. And now. Hold. Good, good, good. All right. Walk your feet forward into your hands. I mean, try this I know in the 1 hour class, but if you repeat this class with me, for some reason, when I really hollow out my belly, it's almost like an accompaniment to help me pull the hips back to lengthen in down dog. You might have to play with it for a little bit more to really find what I'm talking about, but I promise you it's there, okay? Bend the knees, hug the shin bones in, widen the knees to resist, lift, 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 lengthen the sternum, press the heels down, come all the way back up to standing, reach the arms long, and then release the hands. Good, take a breath. All right. Now, you might want to take your blocks and move them over to the other side of the mat. We're going to start in the middle one more time, and we're going to do a second set, engaging the inner thighs, okay, and the inner legs. So on this set, I'm going to ask you to, one more time, you're going to stand the same exact way. The first one we did was we just did a little bit of twisting. This one, we're going to do a little bit of calf work, but also inner line, also stability work, okay? You might want to have the feet more like 11 and 1 than 10 and 2. And you might want to have the feet, you'll find the distance that work for you, but make sure you can contact big toe ball, inner heel, all four corners of the feet preferably, but definitely those 2 points. Roll the thigh bones out, move the inner thighs into the knees, lower the pelvis down, and the pelvis should feel neutral. Your spine is nice and long, okay? You can put your hands on the hips to help, okay? Relax the shoulders. And then all I'm going to ask for is as you're shooting these inner legs out, lift one heel and then bring it down. Lift the other heel, bring it down. You shouldn't feel like you're crushing the toes, and you shouldn't feel like everything else is moving with it. I'm just lifting the heel, everything is steady, okay? Lift the other heel, bring it down. Now hold a little bit, sit a little bit lower. I'm not going to ask you to pulse, that's for bar, and that's amazing, but pretty intense, okay? And then lift again, lower, feel the inner thighs really working here. Okay, now, if you've got it in you, keep thinking about holding the abdominals in, lengthening the legs out, body in one straight line. You can put the hands in front of the heart, lift both heels. If it feels okay, you can reach your arms up. Keep extending. Keep staying firmly on those calves. Keep using those inner thighs. Draw the shoulders down. And if you can, stay on your tippy toes or the balls of the feet. Come all the way up and then lower the heels down. And relax your shoulders. We're going to do that last part one more time, okay? Make sure you're breathing. You're not clenching. Definitely don't claw the toes. You're going to be on the balls of the feet quite a bit. And if you feel like you've slid out, come in a little more, okay? It's about a combination of hugging in, reaching out. So I'm sitting low, I'm grounded first. Hands on the hips or in front of you, lift one heel and then the other. Just do a couple of these. And when you're ready, okay, lift the heels, breathe. Hold the lower abs in, lift the chest. Keep shooting those inner legs out. You can keep your hands here, or if it feels good, reach the arms up. Draw the shoulder blades down. Keep lifting the chest. Now press into the balls of the feet. Use your glutes to also help you come all the way up. Work those calves and then slowly release the heels. Good job, everybody. I'm definitely sweaty from this. All right, turn this back leg in. And this is definitely not the traditional gesture yoga practice, but it's a lot of what I've been doing recently that complements my yoga practice. Okay, so I'm in a pretty long lunge, not as long as when I'm all the way down to the floor. And that's just accounting for tightness of the hip. You're not trying to dig into your lower back. Front toes are spread. I'm going to bend the back knee, square off the hips, zip up the pubis bone, tuck the butt under, and I'm going to press through that right heel. Keep activating. My hamstrings are turned on, my glutes are turned on, my quads are being stretched and worked, okay? Do it one more time. Relax the knee, sit low, square off the hips, pull that hip bone up, pull the pubis bone up, press through that back heel. So the back leg is so lit up without digging into the lumbar. And now reach your arms up, lift the chest. I'm not asking for a back bend, I'm asking for length. The more you lift this up, the more this is going to open. Then I'm going to really use the inner thighs hugging into center, hugging into center. Right heel is pressing back, hugging in, holding the abs in, really reaching back. Don't dig into this left hip crease. You're standing on the glute and the hamstrings, not digging into the hip, okay? Keep reaching back. If it feels like your stance a little short and you can sit a little lower, take that back leg back a little more. Keep hugging into the middle. Should feel like you're standing so much on the inner legs. Not that this is effortless, but you shouldn't really feel wobbly here. You should feel like, okay, I can really control this, all right? We're gonna sit just a little bit lower, keep pressing the right heel back, and then you're gonna take the blocks, put them by your front shin, lift the hips, use this back leg again. Press, press, press the heel back. Pause here first. Drag the left hip back, roll the right hip forward. If you're already getting a nice, delicious hamstring stretch on the left leg, don't pull the toes up towards your head yet. Just let the hamstrings be the dominant feeling at the moment. Hug your inner thighs in, okay? And then from here, you're gonna use this back leg. You're gonna tilt forward a little bit, and then use the heel to press back, back, back. Pull the left butt back, get deeper into that hamstring, especially the top of it. Curl the toes up now and breathe, okay? So my foot looks like that. And again, I'm gonna rock forward a little bit. I'm on this one straight plane. I am not rocking side to side. Use the back leg as lever. Every time I put my left foot down, I think about the big toe reaching forward some more, stretching the top of my foot some more. Good. And then one more time, reach forward, forward, forward. Heel presses back, curl the toes back, okay? And then I'm gonna slowly, as I put that left foot down, move my left quadricep deeply into my left inner thigh while my right heel is actively pressing back, deep in that front leg. Now, you can stop here, pause, go into down dog, do something else, anything that feels good, or you can come into this warrior three. You're using blocks to help your hips to square. It's less of a balance challenge in the sense of what a regular warrior three is, more of a balance to work the core, reach this leg long. Think about what we did earlier with extending the hamstring and the glutes. Can we hold the abs in, reach the arm forward, opposite arm, lengthen the chest, stand firmly on this left inner leg, okay? And if that feels good to you, bend that left knee. You're gonna try to move the butt back as you're bending the knee. This top leg, reach it back. And now lift, lift, lift the left sits bone, hug the inner thighs and reach the right leg long. Do 2 more of these. You can try doing this with the arm extended, but this bending and re-extending of the left leg now makes this pose so much more intense. Let's do one last one if you got it in you. Chest forward, reaching the top leg long. I am shaking, shaking, but I'm holding it still, okay? Take the top hand down. You're gonna come back down, okay? And here again, you can keep that back heel lifted. You can take the heel down. But if you take the heel down and this back thigh is slightly externally rotated, you definitely still want to be able to hug the inner thighs to center. Only when you have the inner thighs really firm, squeeze them together, left sits bone to the right inner thigh, square off the hips, and then maybe you take a pyramid pose just standing on the legs. Maybe you let the chest come forward a little more, but keep holding the abs in, keep pulling the left butt back. Go ahead and take 1 or 2 more full breaths here. Legs hugging in. Again, you're straddling that midline, okay? And then if that's too much, again, always hands here, but you can still do the work of hugging the legs in. Release, come back out. Again, a very slow flow to emphasize all of this core work that we're doing. You can hold plank, or you just say, F it. I'm gonna come down and take a child's pose, okay? For this plank, if you wanna go deeper, can we hold the abs in, release the knees until they almost touch the floor, scoop, press, press, press the heels back. You got a few more, okay? Lower the knees, hold the abs in, scoop, press the heels back. 3 more. Lower the knees, scoop the belly in, keep the chest long, back of the neck is long. 2 more. Bend the knees, scoop, lift those inner thighs to press the heels back. Last one. Lower the knees, hug your abs in, press, press, press. Now, chaturanga all the way down. Your choice of Sphinx, your choice of up dog. I just love this one now because I think I told you in the other videos, this new Sphinx really helps open up my mid back, even more than the old Sphinx used to do. So I'm kind of, really doing this one pretty often these days. All right, you guessed it. You either come into child's pose, come into puppy dog for a rest, or you reclaim downward dog. And again, once you find a nice deep down dog, 10 Kapalabhati breath. Every exhale, use the hollow out of the belly to push in the belly to push the thighs up and back a little more. Okay, so let's go. Take an inhale, halfway exhale, and go. Hold. I might have miscounted because I was so in the zone. I apologize if that's the case. Okay, all right, everyone. Come down onto your knees. Either take a puppy dog or a child's pose. You deserve it. We'll do a bit more of ab work. We'll do some more twisting, and then we'll cool down. Go ahead and take 3 to 4 deep breaths, whichever variation that you're in. So when you're ready to come back up, okay, you're going to slowly bring yourselves back up, and you're going to find a spot comfortable lying on your backs. We're going to do a little bit more of that modified bicycle crunch that I like to do to get into the side abdominals, okay? You do the best you can. You don't have to do all different parts of it. I'm going to start by lying on my back. My feet are hip width apart, knees are bent, legs are set up in like a pre-bridge pose. I interlace my fingers behind the head, okay? From here, I take a breath to push my belly button down, curl my tailbone to the ceiling, firm the lower abs into the low back is nice and flat on the floor, okay? Do not let your lower back come off the floor. And then using the abdominals only, try not to get the hip flexors involved. You can pick up one leg at a time. Think about just femur bone moving in the hip socket and then femur bone moving up in the hip socket. Keep the knees about the height of the hips. Don't pull them too much towards your chest. Unless if you find that your lower back is lifting up off the floor and you can't help it, then you pull your knees a little closer, okay? So your belly button is down. Knees are right on top of the hip creases. Heels are slightly higher. You're going to push your belly button down on an exhale. Take your chest and your shoulders. Use your abdominals to pull your chest and shoulders up. I'm going to turn my chest toward my right knee. Imagine my chest is going past that right knee. The right shoulder blade stays off the floor. Don't yank the head. Your head's pushing back. Reach the left leg long. Pause here. Can you use the left side of your abs to hold the leg? If it feels good, use the abs to take the leg up and down. Maybe just 3 times, not a lot, okay? But we're not coming down from here. All right, now, can I come back to center? Keep the belly button down. Use the abs, pull the chest up a little more. Now I go to my left knee. Extend the right leg. Reach the right leg down and up a little bit, down, up a little bit, and then one more time, down, up a little. You don't need to if this is too much work. Hold the abs in. Come back to center and slowly release the head down. The key is when you're twisting to the side, don't let that shoulder blade fall to the floor. You're trying to take your torso off the floor as much as you can, okay? Let's take it a little bit faster. Push your belly button down, tailbone curls toward the ceiling. Take the chest up, chest to the right, extend the left leg. Now, if you're not going up and down, just hold the leg in place. Maybe you lower it a little more. Maybe you pull your chest up a little higher. You pick whatever you want to do, okay? Hold, shoulder blades off the floor. Bring the leg back in. Bring the chest back to center. And now take the chest over to the outside of the left knee. Left shoulder blade is up. Hold the abs in. Extend the right leg. Find a position. If you're doing the up and down, go for it. If you're not, find a position that really challenges the abs. Pull the chest up a little bit more. And then bring the leg back in and release. All right, last one. Push the belly button down. Take the chest and shoulder blades up off the floor. Go to the right shoulder blade off. Extend the left leg, okay? And if you want to, extend the right leg. And if you're doing up and down, you can do this combing up and down. Pull the chest up a little more. Don't yank the head. Bring everything back to center, including the chest. Move the chest to the left shoulder blades off the floor. Extend the right. If your hamstrings aren't an issue, take the top leg, use the bottom leg, use the abs and move the bottom leg. You're almost there. Bring everything back to center and slowly release the head, the shoulders. Hold your abs in. Slowly, slowly release the legs. Okay? Bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees wing out. Do a little bit of shaking side to side. You can also put your hands on your belly, make a little diamond shape to remind yourself to send some breath into the area. We're going to finish with a bit of a twist. Since we've engaged so much of the abs and the side abs, it's already nice to get some movement into the area because we want to be flexible and strong at the same time. All right, use your hands to bring the legs back in. Roll over to the side, pull yourselves back up, okay? So I'm already set up for this next pose. I know it's a little bit confusing, and it's gonna be too much for me to try to figure out how to mirror you. So this is where I'm just gonna go my right side as my right side. I am gonna sit kind of like a W in my legs. And those of you already know this is mermaid pose coming up. If you're not, if you haven't done this with me or haven't been in a while, don't worry. It's a simple twist, but it gets really deep and it's nice for the mid upper back. I don't really care with this bottom leg, how you shape it. You can extend it out, you can pull it in tighter. This top thigh wants to be parallel to the top line of the mat, okay? The key to this one is you twist in very, very small segments, and the twist is all coming from the ribs. So take my supporting arm, I'm gonna reach out diagonally. I'm gonna take an inhale, my bottom ribs, exhale, I turn my bottom ribs over an inch. These top ribs go down to the floor an inch. Okay, pause. Take an inhale. My right ribs with the supporting arm goes back a little bit. My left ribs go forward a little bit. You can spend like 5 whole minutes just in this twist. Okay, take an inhale again. Right ribs back a little, left ribs forward because we are breaking it down. Now, I can just extend from my shoulder and put my hand down, or I cannot keep the arm steady and then twist the ribs. As my ribs get closer and twist, my ribs are what's gonna get me closer to the floor with the arms. That's what I would like. So every inhale you take, you think about lengthening. Every exhale, you move the right ribs back an inch, left ribs forward an inch toward, the direction that you're twisting. This arm is always going to feel more weighted than this one. That's okay. When you feel like you're super stiff, you can't go anymore, you stay exactly as you are. And you breathe and widen across the upper back, okay? And that feels already nice and deep of a twist for me. And those of you who want to go deeper, who can, okay, you put that right forearm down. So again, I can yank the shoulder and drop this left forearm, which I'm really not getting enough into the mid upper back. Or I can continue on this journey. Inhale, stretch the chest forward. Exhale, my left ribs move back a little. Oh, sorry, right ribs move back a little, left ribs follow. Use the twisting of the ribs to eventually get this left forearm down. Take your time. It's very pleasurable and very deep if you take these little steps and go deeper. Once you've settled in all the way, your head wants to go farther first. Try to avoid it. Try to let the head be the last part, okay? Take several breaths when both your forearms are down or both your hands are down. Widen across those ribs. And then again, from the base of the neck, Turn from the neck to turn the head just a little to the right. Maybe a little more. If it's too much, pause at any point, don't overdo. And just concentrate on spreading breath across the mid-upper back now. And I should mention that if your lower back is a little bit iffy, usually it won't be if you're twisting that slowly and that carefully. But if it is, you're just going to simply take this bottom hip and slide it a little bit closer in the same direction that you're twisting, which will take pressure off the low back. Okay? So wherever you are, go ahead and take another breath. Feel free to stay longer if you're enjoying this. Okay? And when you're ready to come out, you just gently take the torso, bring yourselves back up, and very simply switch the orientation of your legs. Okay, so now my left thigh is parallel to the top line of the mat. My left arm is reaching out a bit, so my body is not completely upright. I am already reclining. From here, think about, again, my pelvis is anchored, but don't firm it. Most of it is going to come from the hip and the movement of the ribs. Okay, you're going to take an inhale. As you exhale, left ribs behind you, and you'll feel the hip wanting to come with you. Don't force it to stay. Let the hips come with you. And then right ribs come closer to the mat. Again, inhale. Left ribs back, right ribs a little closer. Okay? And keep going just like that. Every exhale, my hand gets a little closer to the mat because my ribs are taking me there, not because I'm trying to reach and do it from the shoulder socket. And again, if you feel like you've gotten to your depths, stay put and just breathe. And every breath, you're thinking about widening across those shoulder blades, widening the back ribs. And if you want to come down onto your forearms, that left forearm is going to come down first. Do some more work with the ribs. Left ribs turn, right ribs follow, until you feel like you can put a good amount of weight on the outside forearm. Okay. And again, you can shift the hips a little bit if that feels better for you. Widen with the breath. And then if you desire, turn from the base of the neck to turn the neck to turn the head. And let's stay for 3 more full long breaths. As always, feel free to stay longer, especially if it feels very good to you. Okay. If whenever you are ready to come out, gently prop yourselves back out. Mermaid twist is also really good to do twice each side if you have the time when you're doing your own practice. Okay. For now, we're going to come into Shavasana. I'm going to put a blanket under my head, bring myself down, give my neck a nice tug, and gently place it so that I'm nice and comfortable. My neck is extended. Okay. I'm going to pull my knees into the chest, circle the hips a little bit. You can do what feels good to you to cool down, and definitely relax the abdominal muscles since you've been doing so much work with it. Okay. I tend to like to do a nice big stretch to open myself up at the end of all this. So I'm going to extend my legs out. Okay. And again, you do what feels better for you. I'm going to take my legs, okay, extend through the heels, keep a little bit of a tuck. I'm going to interlace the fingers, turn the palms away. And when I inhale, I'm going to press the palms and kick the heels in the opposite direction. Take a full breath. Let the breath move into the chest. Kick, extend, exhale, let it go. Good. Do 2 more times. Inhale. Reach the heels away, stretch the palms away, open the mid back. Exhale. Good. Last time. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Make any last minute adjustments or fidgeting. that comes to you, feel free to cover yourselves with a blanket, anything that's in your way, kick it out of your way. Turn the palms up, open and close the jaw a few times. Take a few breaths into the belly. Take a few breaths into the lower back. Take a few breaths to imagine that the body is melting, getting heavier, that the bones are sinking into the floor, and that with every breath, you learn to surrender. Listen to your body. Stay in Shavasana for as long as you want to, and you come out only when you're ready to.